Warning, spoilers are ahead for the game being discussed. If you have not played this game, continue under your own advisement. I think for a lot of people, the number one most hyped game for them was The Last of Us. For me, speaking wise, it wasn't the number one hyped game for me. The sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn is my most hyped game. That's the game I'm looking forward to. But along the way, we heard that the story would have SJW aspects to it. For the most part, when I actually played the game, the SJW aspects weren't there. I mean, sure, Ellie is gay. Sure, she has a relationship with another girl. I guess I should have just said she's a lesbian. Yes, that's there. Yes, Abby is this buff chick that is the epitome of all women are equal to men, and then I mean she beats up guys through the game, so it's like, okay. But not only does she beat up guys, they have axes, and that plot armor is thicker than the muscles under her skin right now. That's that. I mean, there's the bigot sandwich comment, there's Lev, who was formerly Lily. There's a lot of SJW aspects in this game, but they aren't so in your face. Like once you see them once the initial wave of SJW here, it's gone. The one thing that stuck out to me the most was the forced diversity. And I am not arguing against your opinion that there should be diversity in game. I 100% agree with you that if you want representation and video game developers are willing to add a representation, then there should be representation. One of the things I noticed with that is that a lot of the killing that takes place, you're going to notice that it is some type of minority. Like, I believe Owen is the only actual white guy that dies. We're not talking about Joel. I mean, that one goes without saying, but Owen, just what I can remember off the top of my head, is the only true white guy that dies. Everyone else that dies is a woman or a person of color. And when that is the situation at hand, you kind of just look at it and be like, wow, that is a lot of diversity that you are killing, Naughty Dog. So it's one of those double-edged sword type things to where the 1-to-1 ratio in diversity. Like I said, Owen is the true only white guy that I remember that dies. I mean, the 3 Asian characters that died, Jessie, the Asian girl who's playing the PSP, I think her name sounds kind of like Brittany. I don't know if that's it. And then Yara. And then there's Manny. He dies. Mel, she's a woman. She's not a white man. Nora is another one that dies. You see where I'm going with this? When you have forced diversity like this and your game is reliant on killing off every single character, it starts to look disastrous for you when it's pointed out like this. Which leads me to say, despite this game trying to build up all of its characters, I never connected with anyone. I didn't even connect with Ellie even after playing with her in The Last of Us Part 1. Even after her being a pretty likable character. I liked her in Left Behind. I liked her in The Last of Us Part 1. I didn't like her in The Last of Us Part 2. I didn't hate her. I just felt like there wasn't nothing there. And sure, maybe subconsciously it's because I love Joel so much. If you're a logically thinking person and a game forces you to watch the person you like die, you're going to become cold. You're going to become immune to any type of feeling, because it is pointless to get close or connected to another person in a video game if you know that there's a possibility that they're going to die later on. And don't get me wrong, I knew all of the deaths that would happen. I knew all of the leaks, all of the spoilers. I saw the ending 2 days before the game came out. I knew everything was going to happen. And I think maybe that might be why I felt like I couldn't feel connected to the game, because I subconsciously knew that there would be no solid ending. I couldn't sympathize with Ellie because I knew that she was going to let the person who killed Joel live. Because I knew that she was not going to avenge Tommy to where he can find peace knowing that his brother's killers are dealt with. She went back after the initial confrontation with Abby to avenge Joel, only for Joel not to be avenged. Like, I'm sorry, at this point, I was not feeling any sort of sympathy for Abby. Her friends got what they deserved. What we need to remember with the Fireflies is that they are a militant group. They use intimidation, torture, whatever they can to get the power that they want. They self-admittingly blow up military checkpoints, literal military checkpoints. They kill innocent civilians. All of these people were previously Fireflies. And in the first game, I don't care if you try to retcon, trying to say that they were the good guy. Because in my eyes, they weren't. What was the Fireflies in the first one is now the Wolves. And they are no better than who the Fireflies were. There's the Seraphites, and they live on an island, and sure, they attack the Wolves. But you have to admit that there's probably something that led up to the Wolves trying to attack the Seraphites. Because if you're out there living on an island by yourself, and they're for the most part self-sustaining, so they would have no reason to leave the island in the first place. So I imagine maybe the Wolves tried to attack the Seraphites one day, because I mean, if you're sort of a militant group, you want an island. An island is a perfect defense place. So I just can't sympathize with these people. I know how bad the Fireflies were. We see that Isaac, their leader, tortures people. And Abby is kind of okay with this. You know, she didn't have no moral compass, even though she knew that he tortures them. But if they were to get a cure, any smart person would know that they would not use the cure for the betterment of humanity. It is for all intents and purposes a viral nuke. That's what it is. And they would use this to become stronger, more powerful. It's like, hey, US government, you guys don't have an antidote yet. Well, we do. And never mind the fact that no fungal infection has a cure to this point. Like, you can search it yourself. There is no cure. So you want me to believe that one scientist, refute that. He is not a scientist. He is a surgeon, a brain surgeon. I'm sorry, but those aren't the people who make the vaccines. But further on, why I can't sympathize with them, everyone has a story, and if you ask their friends, they're good people. For instance, you ask Manny, oh, Abby is a great person. Go back to Tommy, and then you ask him about Joel. Joel was a great person. Every person has a story, and their friends will say they're good people. You ask the person that you're talking to what they think about themselves, and they'll say that they're on the moral side of good. And then you change the perspectives to someone who's been wronged by them. Guess who's now on the moral side of bad? That's where this game tried so hard to make you sympathize with one side. But I don't care about their perspective. Joel has been there since the initial outbreak in 2013. When the first game starts, Joel lost his daughter because of this. Not directly related to the outbreak, but because of circumstances. Because of it, he lost his daughter. Joel had to overcome loss and grief like everyone. Joel lost his daughter innocent. Did nothing wrong, just trying to escape the zombies. That's how he lost his daughter, a true victim in all of this. What I care about is what Joel had to do to survive and endure, not what's going on in Abby's mind. Joel matters to me more than anyone in this game. For me personally, Joel was The Last of Us. It was his story entirely. Who do we start playing golf with? Joel's daughter. Who do we see die? Joel's daughter. Who then do we go to 20 years later? Joel. Whose story is it to transport a kid across the country? It's Joel's story. It's Joel's feelings. It's Joel trying to overcome the grief that he lost his daughter, and now Ellie is the replacement. This is Joel's story. This isn't Ellie's story. So the fact that they did Joel the way he did, I see why people are pissed. I see why they are pissed. You have reasons to be pissed. Every single time in this game when I saw a flashback with Joel in it, I felt like the game was complete. I felt like it was a breath of fresh air. But as soon as that scene was over and reality hit that Joel was actually gone, every single time I felt like something was missing in the game. And a lot of people blame Joel for stopping this vaccine from taking place. Like I said, this one doctor in the entire world who isn't even part of the government, who probably hasn't been in contact with other government doctors, finds the cure. He finds the cure before he's even actually got the vaccine. He's like, all I need is one person who is immune and we can create a vaccine. That's what it is. That's not how vaccines work. You can't just be like, well, I drew this up, this is how it works, and I've not tested it live yet. It's just the equivalent to you or me. Every single person in modern day right now, if you could be Wolverine, would you take that chance? Yes. Dr. Jerry, surgeon, neurosurgeon, was the Wolverine of that time. If I'm the most popular person and I can present myself as this dude who's gonna save humanity, then everybody will love me. And that's all Jerry was. If you knew you had a great idea, not even a great idea, I mean, we're talking about you could end world hunger, people. If you could end world hunger and you kept that inside your mind without telling anyone and then you die, who's the bad guy here? Because any smart person, dude, they've been doing this since the 1800s, 1700s. As soon as people could write, people started writing down ideas on how to do stuff. So if you wanted to actually save the world, you would have wrote this idea down. You don't care who gets a hold of it. You know what? The more people you tell this idea to of how to cure this, the better. If you found a cure for something, you would write it down and you would spread it far and wide. You would put it in a message in a bottle and hope that it eventually got to the other side of the world in another country. Like Ellie is the only immune person. Well, she's the only immune person in America right now currently. I mean, there's like 6 other continents, right? So maybe on Antarctica, there's a whole government facility to where they have plenty of immune people. But the point with all of this is that Jerry is just selfish. Jerry is selfish, and you say Joel is selfish for not allowing Ellie to be sacrificed for science. Jerry is selfish for not writing down his cure. The truth is, he probably never had a cure, and like I said, he is the Wolverine of the modern world. He wants to be the hero. If people think that he knows how to cure this, he will be the most important person in the room. So Lily, also known as Lev, we meet later in the game, is a girl who then becomes a boy, and I will use the proper pronouns from now that you know that she used to be a girl. She wanted to be a soldier like her sister, so she did a couple of things. She got assigned to be a wife of one of the eldermen, so she shaved her hair. But the problem with Lev, in my opinion, is that he asked so many stupid questions. These aren't the questions he asked, but they would be the equivalent. Is the sun in the sky? Do I have feet? He asked some of the most dumb questions like, where can I find some bread? Do I need to close my eyes when I sleep? I just found myself saying, please stop talking. And then he just keeps talking, especially during the Abby sequence where she's up high and she's trying to just climb over stuff. Can you just be quiet, please? During my entire time with Ellie, not much talk. Oh, she was with Dina, but at least with Dina, she wasn't annoying. Dina is a decently likable character. Lev, on the other hand, is just so boring and annoying, and whoever wrote his character, I really hope you are not like that in real life. I was just waiting for a new dumb question to come along. He acts so stupid. It's just so frustrating. And to be honest, I'm starting to think that this is why the game in the second half just started to crumble. Because at least the first half characters were great. Then you play as Abby, which is a kick in the nuts. And then you meet Lev and it's like, thank you for this, Naughty Dog. The first few hours when you play this game as Ellie, it's really superb. You know, it's what I wanted a sequel to be. But at the end of day 3 with Ellie, you think that there's going to be some type of conclusion, and then we go back to day 1 with Abby. And to be honest, I didn't entirely hate playing as Abby, I just felt like the game was too long. I felt like the pacing with her was bad. I'm of the notion that it should have been Ellie day 1, Abby day 1. Ellie day 2, Abby day 2, and maybe, just maybe, if you actually alternated between the two, you wouldn't have felt like you were starting from the beginning all over again, even though you're 10, 15 hours into the game. That is where the problem lies in the second half, I believe. It's not a constant back and forth. No, you're playing, and then all of a sudden, the climax of the game comes to an abrupt halt and it's a complete rewind, and you're telling me the perspective of someone that I don't really care about, and the last thing I saw of them, they were killing Joel. You want me to like that. So now that this review is starting to kind of get towards the end, the only positive in this game is what every Naughty Dog game has, and that's superb gameplay. At the time of me writing this, I'll have played the game for a total of 3 times. One of those being the full game cutscenes with everything. The next 2 times I played it, it's skipping cutscenes and just focusing solely on the gameplay. And my enjoyment of the game at that point was very high. The first time, not so much, but when it's strictly gameplay, I love the game. And I think for a lot of people, when you focus solely on the gameplay and you skip the cutscenes entirely, you find that you're more interested in the game. And that just proves that it's the writing within the game that is the downfall. And that is a hill that I would 100% be willing to die on. Throughout this entire journey, I wanted to kill one person. And in the end, with the cutscenes, I didn't get that. This game just tries to do too much with so many characters, but it just doesn't work out in a video game. This is the type of thing that you would see in a TV show. And even in a TV show, I don't think you're killing this many characters. It would be like killing off every single main character in the first season, and then you have to recast everybody in the second season because there's no one left. To overall give my assessment of the game with ratings, strictly speaking, combat is a 9 out of 10. It's great. It's unparalleled to any other game. The first half of the game, up until the end, when you play as Ellie the first time, day 1 with Abby, before that, the game was a 9 out of 10. It was everything I wanted. Unfortunately, in the second half is when the game then goes down to a 6 out of 10 because it just becomes so boring with the characters. They just don't have any charismatic personalities to them. They all speak the same way almost. But that doesn't end it for me. The 6 out of 10 is being way too generous. Because since we're speaking overall, the ending alone, I am literally going to drop off 1 point. Because when you're playing a video game, this isn't like a movie to where you leave it open-ended for a future movie. This is a video game to where when you make a 25-hour game, you better have some type of conclusion. And the only conclusion that this game delivers at the end is that everyone that wasn't the reason for these deaths live. Yara dies because of Lev. Her mother dies because of Lev. Owen dies because of Abby. Mel dies because of Abby. Every one of her friends dies because of her, Abby. Joel dies because of Ellie. Tommy messes up his leg to where he walks with a permanent limp. Loses his eyesight. Jesse dies. Everyone dies in this game except for the people who were the reason for it. And that at least give me the satisfaction to know that the person who killed Joel dies. But you don't even give me that satisfaction? No, I'm sorry, but that story is absolutely terrible. And because of that, I'm not giving this game overall a 6 out of 10. Because of the horrible ending, in my opinion, I'm going to take off 1 whole point and drop this game down to a 5. This game just under-delivers on what was probably one of the best games of all time. It tries too hard to give too much, but in the end, it just delivers nothing to you.